guys I got to ask you about. Daniel Popper of The Athletic, who's a good guy who covers the Chargers, was on 95.7 The Game, and they discussed Joey Bosa. And he said, what do you think of Joey Bosa, reuniting with Nick on the Niners? Popper said on the radio, I wouldn't rule it out. At the end of the day, Joey Bosa, he's been pretty public about the fact that he always wanted to play with his brother. He's got a base salary of 15 this year, 17 next year. I'm not super fluent in Niner cap, but that's what you would be taking on for, 2024 and 2025. So we'll see. What do you think of the idea? I mean, obviously, Popper goes on to say, I think the Chargers should at least listen. If they're listening, then I think there's a number of places that make sense for Joey Bosa. He spent his entire career with the Chargers, number 3 pick overall in 2016, 4-time Pro Bowler. He's had injuries the last 2 years, only 9 sacks in the last 2 years combined, only 14 games in the last 2 years combined. What do you think of Bosa? What do you think of Joey coming over? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it fit? Does it not fit?
Certainly a fascinating conversation, and I think it comes down to how much he's going to demand if the Chargers let him go. And from the Chargers standpoint, I think it's a $14 million cap savings if they cut him pre-June 1, which for them makes a lot of sense with the new head coach, a new general manager, as they try to tinker with that roster. They have their quarterback. They have some other really good pieces, and Joey Bosa has barely been able to play. How much does he want? And going back to the Chris Jones conversation too, who do you let go of on that defensive line in order to make this happen? Because the candidate that a lot of people bring up is Eric Armstead, but pre-June 1, dead money is $25.8 million and the cap savings is 2.49. So that doesn't make sense at all. And then post-June 1, dead money is $10.3 million, but the cap savings is $18 million. So pretty much $8 million there. But Joey Bosa, you think about what him and his brother could be if Joey can stay healthy. They're 2 great edge rushers who love ball, love getting in the lab, iron sharpens iron, love perfecting their game. But I'd be scared shitless of Joey Bosa coming to the Niners just because of the injury history here. And you look at his career, rookie year, plays 12 games, year 2, 16, year 3, 7, year 4, 16, year 5, 12, year 6, 16. Last 2 years, though, respectively, in 2022, 5 games played and 9 games played. Now, when he's been healthy, the sack production has been great year by year, 10.5, 12.5, 5.5, 11.5, 7.5, 10.5, 2.5, 6.5. So even though he's missed time, even when he's missed time, the sack production in those games is really good. Now, if Joey Bosa is like, hey, I made enough money. It's been my dream to play with Nick on the other side. Let's sign a 1-year deal. Let's cause some havoc. Let me up my value a little bit. Let's chase the Super Bowl. I'll take $3 to $5 million. Then I'm all in, because then the financial risk isn't really all there. But if the Chargers let him go, he wants a multi-year deal. And even if it's $15 million, I'd honestly maybe rather have Chase Young, who's 24, whose physical presence is really impressive. Can you get him to buy in with the effort issues and him actually giving a shit? And he's younger, less injury issues. I'd rather just have a player like that back. But if Joey Bosa wants to come at a highly discounted rate, and then that allows you to also bring back a Cleveland Ferrell and a Randy Gregory, and you have Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Cleveland Ferrell, Randy Gregory, I'm down with that defensive line rotation at the edge spots, and I'd at least entertain it.
What do you think of the Wilkins fit? Because I'm intrigued by Christian Wilkins, man. I know he's kind of a weird guy. He's grabbed guys' nuts and stuff, and he's done some weird stuff, let's be honest. But the guy is scheme versatile. He's a good high character guy outside of grabbing guys' balls and that kind of thing. But I mean, I like Christian Wilkins as a player. I like him as a rusher. I like him against the run. I like him in that 34, but I like him in a 4-3 at tackle. I like him in the 4-3 at end if you want to go kind of a bigger look. Do you think what's going to happen with Wilkins? I mean, I was shocked that he wasn't franchised by Miami.
I was surprised too, because Miami is an interesting team that has invested heavily in some players, haven't invested heavily in other players. This is a homegrown player who you took with the 13th overall pick in the 2019 draft, and now you're not going to pay him when you've paid other players. And I think with Christian Wilkins, he's a unique build because he's not a traditional 330-pound defensive tackle. He's 6'4", 310. And I like him against the run. And the Niners need a better run-stuffing defensive tackle. He can also get after the quarterback. He's got a really quick first step, and he's really powerful. He can pack a punch where little swim move, little power rush, he can get by you. He had 9 sacks this past year. He's never really been a massive sack artist. 2 sacks, 1.5, 4.5, 3.5, and 9 in his first 5 years in the NFL. But in Vic Fangio's system, he kind of broke out where he had those 9 sacks this past year. What's the price tag for him? I think it's going to be steep. I think it's $20-25 million for a player who came into the league at 24. So he's a little bit older at the end of that 5-year rookie contract. So he's going to be 29 years old this year. Again, though, what do you do at defensive tackle? You can't move on from Hargrave. We talked about the big cap hit with Eric Armstead if you want to move on. Is this a player, the splash player, where you're like, well, it helps us with sack production. It helps us against the run as well. We're willing to make an investment in that player. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I do like the player, though, a lot.
How many years have you covered the Niners?
This
what was your first year covering?
2021. So this will be my 4th season, 2024, covering the team.
Okay, so you didn't necessarily cover them when they had DJ Jones, but there was some
I
talk.
I did last year.
Oh, okay,
2021 was his last year, and
okay,
he was awesome. He's really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy. First of all, he's a great guy. I
Yes.
mean, besides that, I mean, that's all secondary, really. But it always helps, and he is a great guy. But this guy is just, I think, absolutely one of the great run defenders in the A gap in the league. You're talking about a guy, 10.5-inch hands, 6'1", 320. But you know what I love about him? He plays the game on his feet. He's a force against the run. He's a freaky combination of strength and quickness. Benjamin Albright, I bring him up because according to Benjamin Albright, he says a number of Broncos, and he names DJ Jones, likely gone because of their cap situation. The Niners drafted him in 2017 in the 6th round. Broncos signed him away to a 3-year, $30 million deal. There wasn't a single person in the room that begrudged DJ for leaving, but he has been sorely missed. He's got short area quickness. He's got enormous weight room strength. In a lot of ways, I think he would solve their inside run issues and make them better against the tush push with Philly, make them better on the goal line, better in short yardage. The Niners have been a joke as far as short yardage D, and I don't even care what the numbers say. They give up any yard that another team wants to have. They didn't do that under DJ. What do you think? Could Denver pay some of that money? Niners give a day 3 pick and bring a guy like Jones back in the fold? To me, that's the ideal addition to their defensive front. Because as you said, Hargrave ain't going anywhere, and he's a pass rusher. So the guy complimenting him inside's got to be a fire hydrant, you run defender of the highest order, and that's what DJ is.
Yeah, he's literally the perfect fit for what the Niners need. And if you address edge rusher with some of the players that we've been talking about, and then you have Kalia Davis and DJ Jones as your backup defensive tackles, and maybe you draft another one behind Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave, I love the makeup of that defensive front. And DJ Jones, the Niners have really missed him. In 2021, he really came into his own and was awesome. I think he had 10 tackles for loss as a rotational player, made some big plays in some critical moments, especially in the playoffs. There was not any chance in hell the Niners were going to pay him a 3-year, $30 million contract. In fact, the Broncos probably regret that because he's not worth $10 million per year. But is he worth being a backup defensive tackle who solves your issues against the run, and you've been gashed when teams run right up the gut against you, and has pass rushing ability? I think that he's a perfect fit for those reasons. And this is all part of the Russell Wilson fallout, which goes down as one of the worst trades of all time and one of the worst contract extensions all time. He was so bad and unbearable that the Broncos were eating all of this money, and Sean Payton hated him so much, he said, we'll eat that money, just get out of my face and get out of the building, that now you have to let go of Justin Simmons. You have to bring back Tim Patrick on a rework deal. And now you either have to trade DJ Jones. I think he could be cut because of this reason. He's got a cap charge and a cap hit of $12.9 million for 2024 for Denver, but the dead cap hit is only $2.9 million. So it's not that much. So if they let go of him, they eat 2.9 and then they don't have to pay him that huge cap number of nearly $13 million. Trading for him, I think, could be an option if the Broncos want to eat some of that money too. Late round pick swaps, sure. And I'll pay some of that money too if it's like $4 or $5 million, because I understand his importance to what the Niners need, how he understands the system, how he's complemented some of the players on this defensive line and Armstead and Bosa before. I think he'd be a really, really good player. His PFF numbers last year weren't great. Overall grade of 56, 14 hurries, 18 pressures though. And you'll take that from a backup defensive tackle. That's one of the players who I talked about on, Thursday show on the Niners Report, who I'm like, man, if this is a possibility, I'm all in if the money makes sense, because I think the scheme fit makes a lot of sense and I like the player a lot.